is both a fixed and a mobile operator in Canada. We have a national mobile network that we provide to all of Canada. We have mostly Western focus DSL base and PSTN base, although we also are North America's first and I believe still only fully IP MPLS core. So IMS, we've been trialing IMS for about 4 to 5 years now, and we've taken a few different approaches to it. Two different approaches that we've taken in the past. One is to look at VCC, voice call continuity, and to run a few trials. And essentially the technology was very mature, but the problem was it was difficult to make a business case, and it was also very difficult to find any clients with support out of the box for VCC. That makes a consumer application of VCC very difficult. Now, I've heard at this conference that there's been some enterprise, especially SME deployments, specifically with Telefonica, and that's good news to hear, but we ran into problems with consumer deployments. We then tried to take a platform approach to IMS, where we believe that IMS is a reusable platform, and as such, the business case changes fundamentally, and we start to look at more PSTN replacement use cases, so voice migration and so on, to try to bring all of our different voice platforms onto a common enabler. That means that the IMS business case turns positive, but it's a more complex business case to make. It's also more complex technically to do. So that work is, in terms of analyzing that and building that business case, that's still underway. At the same time, we came to the realization that internal marketing of IMS at a telco also involves, instead of taking an approach where you say, this is what IMS is and this is what it does for you, you should try to take the approach where you say, what do we as a telco need? And then if you break that down into 4 areas, if you say a telco needs a network policy to build this abstraction in a horizontal model, if it needs charging in order to be able to fundamentally transform the way that we're able to adapt to business models, new business models. If you take subscriber data as a way to understand a converged subscriber and to unify the way that we offer services to actually perform deep bundling instead of the shallow bundling that we do today, which is discounting, and SIP-based services. And if you bring those 4 components in and you say these are the 4 fundamental values that we're looking to address, then you'll find it turns out that IMS is actually a very good fit for those 4 domains. So, I mean, I can't talk about any projects ongoing or future that we might be undertaking in order to migrate PSTN or not, but it's obvious that the PSTN itself has a cost basis that's not sustainable, and it gets worse every year, right? The switches get older, it gets harder to maintain, and so eventually we're going to need a migration off of that platform. We think that IMS is a fantastic opportunity to bring that platform in line with other voice platforms and to save even more money going forward. So part of it is a general misunderstanding of what IMS does and how it works, right? So if you're an IMS guru, you'll look at IMS and you'll say IMS handles subscriber data extremely well, because you don't have to re-provision in every different application server. You can put that subscriber data in the HSS where it really should go, and then you pull that data in real time. So it's a dataless model, which is fantastic. What IMS went and then in some people's minds delivered was supposed to deliver was actually more than that. Okay, with IMS I can go out to every single application server that I have, whether it's IMS or non-IMS, or has anything to do with circuit-based services, or has anything to do with SIP-based services, and does it actually implement that data? Well, yes and no, it could, and so on. So this is how this kind of a message gets confused. So what we found was that was one of the 4 messages that resonated particularly well. So we realized, okay, well, that means that it's a challenge, right? So it's a fundamental challenge, and it's a good way to define one of the challenges that Telus and I guess other operators have, right? So if you take these 4 pillars and you say, well, these are the 4 challenges, these are the 4 things that resonated really well, what role does IMS play to deliver that, and be clear in that, right? And demark, here's where the network ends, or here's where IMS ends, here's what it'll deliver, here's when it'll deliver it. Then you're able to actually explain what IMS is and how to deliver it much better. So, in general, the story with legacy system migration to IMS is, we know at some point there's going to be a business case. We know it's going to turn positive. It may have turned positive already. And if you're going to move off of a legacy system, there's no point in going towards a slightly less legacy system. There's no point in going towards a soft switch-based system when IMS is here now, today, ready to go. So it's simply a matter of saying, well, we know that IMS is the destination, and we know that you need IMS for many different reasons. If you're going to consolidate all of your telephony onto a single platform, IMS is it. Yes, it creates a little bit of a side-by-side type of project, but as a mature telco, you have to be familiar with those kinds of situations and understand how to deal with them. It's not unique to IMS. It's not unique to anything. There's always going to be multiple technologies operating synchronously, and you have to learn which ones you want to cap and grow, which ones you want to force migrate, which ones you want to have natural growth on, and which ones you want to continue to go ahead with side by side, right? And that's all part of the business case analysis that you have to do. So you'll find at this point that the technology is very mature. You have to be very careful in how you define what the technology is doing and what it doesn't do. And you have to refine that message, and you have to understand you have to make sure that you're not over-promising what it does. You have to make sure that it's doing what you say it does. I'm not sure how else to put that. There's no such thing as a killer app. I mean, that's as true today as it was 3 years ago. The fact is, it's the applications that drive the revenue in the end. But as you've no doubt been hearing at this conference so far, all of the cases around IMS tend to be about cost savings, CapEx savings, OpEx savings, and so on. And part of that is the economic climate, but also part of that is fundamentally it's much simpler to make a business case for savings of something that you know the cost of today than it is to make a business case for a potential future. So we're very excited at RCS. We think it's a very exciting opportunity because if handsets come pre-embedded with RCS clients on them, it raises the bar for communication. This would definitely be a driver for IMS deployment. The question is, and there was an entire session on it today, when will those clients arrive? How strong will those clients be? What platforms will they be on? How ubiquitous will it be? So we're watching with bated breath what happens in France with these RCS clients, and also to see what the end user uptake is going to look like. I came into this with no expectations, so I can't comment as to that. What I can say is that there is a limited window of opportunity. I'm sure if you were to look 20 years from now, there'd be no such thing as a feature phone. They would all be smartphones by today's definition. So the question is, well, when does that migration start to happen? When do you start to say, and I don't think it'll even be a cut and dried question, it'll just be the feature phones will become more and more smart of their own accord. As they start to get more smart, they will be able to implement over-the-top equivalents of RCS functionality. If that happens, then it's very tough to start RCS in an environment like that. If RCS manages to evolve on feature phone clients before that happens, then I think it's a different story.